All right, good day, LinkedIn ads people. Today we're talking about Campaign Manager, a well overdue video on Campaign Manager. The first one I did was many years ago, and I've done a couple since then. And now this is one for basically late 2025. Things are changing a lot, so here we go. Let's jump in. Let's get to the point of where it's Campaign Manager is basically the dashboard for your LinkedIn ads. It's kind of where everything is done. You also have Business Manager, which is more of the sharing function, especially if you're an agency or something like that. Business Manager is that. I'll show you that in another video. This is just Campaign Manager. Business Manager you don't use that much. Campaign Manager you use a lot. So this is where all the magic happens. And it's kind of based around these sections. So you have the left side and you have this top side. And the most important part is when you're in Advertise. So we're going to start with the Advertise. This is where you see a lot of the campaigns, and you basically have this structure of basically these three up here and these on the left. So first things first, let's work out how to get a campaign manager if you don't already have one. Go to your LinkedIn profile and click on For Business and click down here to Advertise. And when you click on that, it's going to pop up with a very simple form. It's going to ask us a couple of simple things. One of the things it's going to ask is your currency. Make sure you get the currency right, because I don't think you can change that later. It's really simple. Once you've done that, you get to Campaign Manager. So within Campaign Manager, you basically have this left bar here, which I'll go over in a minute, but the most important is this here, and this is under Advertise. Basically, you have layers. You have the campaign group level at the top, you have campaigns within the campaign groups, and you have ads within the campaigns. So it's filtered out like that, like this, because it comes out. So the way I structure it is quite simple. A lot of people like to overcomplicate it, but most B2B SaaS companies, most B2B companies generally are quite simple. Like 90% of the time, I would structure it in a really simple way. It'll be something like this. Just your campaign groups, you filter everything at the bottom of funnel, middle of funnel, and top of funnel. And then everything related to these three items are in those campaign groups, and there are campaigns within each of those. There's only 3 campaign groups and multiple campaigns within the campaign groups. So if you come out here, for example, the bottom, middle, and top is represented in these campaign groups. So everything in the bottom of funnel, I would do basically the whole point of the bottom of funnel is to drive conversions, whether it's leads, demos, or signups. So we're just trying to drive that in market demand. There's only like 2 or 3% of your market is in market, and that's what we're trying to do at the bottom of funnel campaign group. And for example, I'm not going to go into detail how I do it. I have a whole big video. I'll leave a link in the description below or at the end of this video where I go over like the full strategy. But I would just be thinking about how do we drive conversions, how do we use lead gen forms, that kind of stuff in the bottom of funnel campaign group. In the middle, it's very much like 0-click content, thought leader ads, content distribution, retargeting, 180-day retargeting. And the whole only objective here is nurture warm audiences with content until they're ready to buy. So you need to, do social proof, features, benefits, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to go into too much detail. And in the campaign group at the top, we're just trying to build affordable, high quality retargeting audiences. And so we keep it really simple. At the top of funnel campaign group, that's all we're doing. We're only having campaigns related to building awesome retargeting audiences, often with video, that kind of stuff. So that's how I'd structure the campaign group level, which is here. So you'd go create campaign group and you create campaign group. If you go in, so for example, this is a top of funnel ad. I have campaigns within that and a lot of thought leader ads for me. But basically this is where the campaigns are. So within campaign groups, you have campaigns. And when you create a campaign, I'm going to go over this in a bit, you create a campaign here. And in that campaign, your campaign could be a thought leader ad, it could be a document ad, it could be any ad format. We're not discussing ad formats specifically here, but you can do all these different ad formats like single image video, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't really matter about what you do. You're not trying to separate that, but the objective is roughly the same. And when I say objective, I don't mean in terms of the objective as in like brand awareness or engagement or whatever. I mean in terms of what you're trying to do in that campaign group. So we'll go over that in a minute, but that's where your campaigns are. And then within those campaigns, there are ads. So let's have a look at this one. This is a thought leader ad, and there are ads within the campaign. So you might be testing multiple ads from one campaign, for example. So this is how it works on this level here. So in a short while, we're going to create a campaign. I'm going to go through how to create a campaign, which is where a lot of the meat and juice is. But first, let's just go over the sidebar. So on the left, you have overview. This is just like basic overview stuff that you can just look at. It's like a dashboard. It's not, that's all it is. So plan is the first part, which you should really know about. And in plan, you have audiences. Here is where you can create retargeting audiences. So you want to create, so you both have predictive audiences and matched audiences. Predictive audiences I never really use, and I don't think many people use it really well. Prove me if I'm wrong. Let me know about that. But I've never had great experience with predictive audiences. Kind of like a lookalike audience, but I don't think you really need it because audiences are so good here already. So matched audience, you can have multiple matched audiences. You can basically create retargeting audience for your company page, the conversion API. This is so good. I'm going to make another video just on how to do the conversion API right away after this, I think, because this is really important. Basic conversion API links your CRM data, and you can create retargeting audience based around your sales stages. So you might have stage 3, they were on a sales call and they're really good to talk to you or something. That can be actually a retargeting audience, so based around your CRM stages, which is really cool. If you run event ads, here you can retarget single image, like clicks, for example. So it doesn't have to be retargeting people hit your website. You can retarget the actual click, which natively on LinkedIn, LinkedIn has really good data on that. You can retarget your website, specific pages, or your entire website. You can retarget conversation ads, document ads, lead gen forms, and video. So for example, if you click next on one of these, you have more options. So like, okay, let's target anyone who viewed at least 50% or 75% over the last 90 days, or you can have these different days, and then you agree and create. So you can do that all here in audiences. So by the way, if you want to get really detailed on each of these sections I'm going through, how to set up your conversions, how to do all this different stuff, I have a full free resource which I've put so much brain effort into, which goes into so much like detail. So this is literally the primary thing that we're going over, the basics here. So you can go, for example, how to set up your campaign manager, LinkedIn Insight, conversion tracking, uploading your company list. All of these individual sections have a video where I show you exactly how to do it. It's for free. Just there'll be a link in the description below. Just give your email and you get access to this. Okay, next you have the companies tab. I actually really love this addition to Campaign Manager. It actually can show you like your organic impressions versus your paid media impressions, paid clicks, and you can see which companies are clicking. So for example, this company is clicking way too much. I might need to exclude that. You got the company sizes, industry. It's really cool, and you can got all these filters on the right as well. So you can say, okay, I want to paid impression, no paid impressions. You can make all these filters and you can see it. It's really cool. I really love this new companies tab, which just shows you who's engaging with your ads, who's engaging with you organically, that kind of stuff. It's really great. Next, we have Media Planner, which I never use, but basically it is a way to see how many impressions, how much budget you might need for a specific campaign. I've never really used it, I'll be honest with you, so I'm going to leave this out. Brand safety is another one I haven't really used, but it's if you are using LinkedIn Audience Network, which I don't think you should use, you can basically upload a publisher exclusion list saying we don't want to be on those porn sites or something like that. So this is what that's for. So the next really important tab is Advertise, and this is what I went through earlier. This is where a lot of the magic happens. This is where these 3 bits happen. So on Advertise here, you can see your campaigns groups, your campaigns, and your ads within the campaign group. So you can create that, which we'll come back to in a minute. Here we have the test. I don't really use this either, but it's to see whether or not your brand, I think you need quite a large budget for it, but to see if your brand awareness is having some kind of incremental lift. Next, we have the measurement. So this is really good. So we have the insights, which is kind of another dashboard, which just shows you a bunch of information about your campaigns and stuff, which is quite cool. But one thing that's really useful here is conversion tracking. So here's where you set up your conversion tracking. So you can basically create a, something for like, okay, if they've seen a specific page, we can set a retargeting audience for that. So basically setting up your conversion for your website conversions. This is how you do. So you say create inside tag conversion. You can set it all up here. I'll have another video, or get the LinkedIn Ads OS because I go over how to do that specifically. But that's there. Under data, which is quite important, you have Signals Manager. So this is where your insight tag is, and you can figure out how to set up your API from here. And with your website actions, this is really awesome. I love website actions. It's a new way to actually set up your conversions on your website. And you literally have website actions, button clicks, and page visits. So if you set up your insight tag, again, I have another video, check out the OS, you are going to be able to, LinkedIn will show you all the different pages you have, and then you can just click there and create a conversion. It's super simple. But the button clicks is a really cool one because that used to be a bit more difficult. So it looks at the buttons on your website. You can click button click conversions, which is great. So anytime anyone clicks on that button, you will, be able to create a conversion on that and retarget those people specifically. Here we have the recommendations. Ignore this. Most of LinkedIn's recommendations are complete bull. So just completely ignore that, in my opinion. After that, we have assets, which we have, for example, lead generation forms. This is where all your lead generation forms are. You can create lead generation forms by clicking on create form here, and you can create forms there basically. And that's that. So this is where they are. This is where you can download your forms as well, if you have the right access. So that's awesome. This is where all your lead generation forms. Landing pages, I don't really use this for like recruiters, probably ignore that. Asset history, haven't really used that either, to be completely honest with you. And now account settings, manage. This is where you manage access, but actually, because you should set up your business manager. If you haven't set up a business manager, you can set up your access here. So you can give your agency, your freelancer, your employees, whatever, access here. But if you've got business manager, you have to do it through business manager. I'm going to set up I'm going to have a new video. I already have a video on that, but I'm going to make a new video on that. How to give access and all that kind of stuff, because it's a bit annoying and complicated. It's actually weirdly complicated, even with business manager. Next, we have billing. So this is where you'd add your, card. You'd have to add your, that stuff. So right at the beginning, you need to add your card. I have a whole section on just like setting up billings. It's just a bit annoying. So I'll show you how to do that in the LinkedIn Ads OS, which you can grab below. Edit account, just like what's the name and URL parameters. And this is where your company page is. So that's the left bar. Okie dokie, now let's set up a campaign. So let's go back to Advertise, create campaign. Once you're here, this is the whole flow of setting up campaigns. So you got to choose your objective. I'm not going to go over too much of the objectives. I've got literally videos and stuff like that. But basically you have brand awareness and engagement, and you have to pick thought leader ads. You can only run under these two. Again, videos and thought leader ads, videos and all of this basically. Website conversions and website visits are kind of similar, which is really cool. So you got basically, this is to send traffic to your website, and so is this. I would nearly always pick website visits over website conversions, whereas engagement and brand awareness, it depends on the situation. And lead generation is if you're trying to do lead gen forms natively on LinkedIn to get people's information on LinkedIn itself. So lead generation is one that often I would pick for a bottom of funnel ad. Video views is great as well. You can also run video views with website visits, and I believe with these as well. So you can run video on multiple ones. But for example, if you click the video view and you click next, and then you don't do accelerate, just click classic, never run accelerate, next, and then it gives you all of this stuff, next again. Now you have video views and you have it all here. But basically based on this, you're going to get different options of the formats you can run. So you can only run video on the video views, obviously. But if you click brand awareness, you go all the way down, you get all of these ad formats, which I'll go over in a minute. So clicking this does influence the ad formats you can use. So there are, for example, you can't run like with 4 lead ads, you can only run them under these 2 objectives, for example. So that's confusing. So let's go to like a classic one, which is like website visits. You can, what are you marketing? You could do this. I don't really think there's any point. This is like showing you, it'll go to the URL and trying to work out this stuff like you're targeting. Honestly, ignore the majority of what LinkedIn recommends or its suggestions. It's normally really crap. So just ignore that. Here you can state the country, for example, United Kingdom or US, whatever. And here's recent or permanent location. So permanent location is people who live. Recent or permanent is people who have been there recently or are permanent. So people who are traveling, you probably need to switch that to permanent most of the time. Here is the whole section on targeting. So here you're going to narrow this down, and here you can upload a list. You can create a lookalike audience, predictive audience, retargeting audiences, third party and other. And if you click here, you can basically filter by like company category, company connections. The most ones people do are like, for example, job titles. You can type in like VP of Marketing against, I have a whole video just on this, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but this is where you actually set up the retargeting stuff. And on the right here, it'll show you how big your audience is, which you should keep within probably 100,000, I'd say. So you got like United States, let's put, vice president or whatever, and then let's narrow that down even more and do, for example, company, industry. Let's, for example, do, IT services and IT consulting, for example. So it'll whittle it down, and then you can create audience. I'm not going to go into too much information about that. There's loads of different ways you can do that with job titles and industry, skills, function, which is like department, list based. So I'd upload a list. I think that's really important. And I'd always unenable audience expansion, tick it off straight away. And here are some formats. Again, not going to go into too much detail, but this is where you can choose your carousel, your single image, your text ads, video ads, document ads, conversation ads, that kind of stuff. Here, it's going to give you the option. It's always ticked on LinkedIn audience note. This is the number one thing that totally ruins most LinkedIn ad accounts. So I would always just check this. Always, when you go back to account, check, is it off? Because it sometimes just re-clicks it back on when you save it or go out. It's just always trying to bring this on. And I've audited multiple accounts spending up to like 50,000 a month, literally wasting 99% of the budget, because it's all going to off platform. LinkedIn Audience Networks is basically everywhere off the platform, and it'll be other places. You kind of want to keep LinkedIn ads on LinkedIn. That's where you get the best performance. So click that off all the time. Here's the bidding section. Again, you should probably, just a quick recap, always bid with manual bidding and unclick that, and then click probably a little bit lower than the bottom. But manual bidding, you need to be checking every single day, basically. So that's that. I'm not going to go too much detail. This is where you put all your conversions, and so it can track all those different conversions, which is great. When you click next, next here, save, let's, for example, you're going to get to the ads section. So here is where you can create your ads. So you can either browse existing content, and you can browse there. If you clicked on brand awareness or what's it called, engagement, you can click on LinkedIn members and create thought leader ads. Otherwise, you can just direct sponsor the posts that have gone out already from the company page or from a direct response sponsored content, or you can create a new ad. So by creating a new ad, you click there, and there's a new UI here, which is quite cool. You can create new ad, create new ad, create new ad, and then you can go there and type in it all there, which is really cool. It's way easier to do now, and you can, for example, add in the media there, click the destination. It's all the ads are created here, which is really cool. Once you've done that, you click save and exit, and then you're going to have a campaign. Okay, so now that you have campaigns running, you will need to also understand these toggles here. So you're going to see different information based around that. So for example, if you click on performance, you're going to see how much was spent, your cost per result, your impressions, your clicks, your average click-through rate, CPM, CPC, conversions, cost per conversion, how many leads, all this kind of stuff. It depends what campaign you're running. So for example, if you're running a video, you might want to go to video, and you're going to see, so I don't think any of these are video, but I probably have had a video at some point. So here you go. So with video, you see like the views, the view rate, cost per view, which I think is like 2-second view. Then you can see how many people watch 75 plus, and you can then work out, okay, 20 people based on that budget. My cost per 75% is X amount, your completion rate, all that kind of stuff. So you got video. Delivery, for example, will show you how it's being delivered. So your reach, your frequency, which is a really important number, because you want your frequency to be quite high most of the time. Your penetration rate is really important. Like if you're only reaching a small percent of your audience, you really want to reach a larger penetration, for example. So delivery is a really interesting one. Engagement is great, because with engagement, it's great for thought leader ads, and you can see this clicks to landing page. This is a really important metric, because if you look at CPC with thought leader ads, it's actually CPC will be any click, including see more or engagement. Whereas with a thought leader ad, you need to see the clicks to landing page. So that's under the engagement tag. You can also see clicks to LinkedIn pages, clicks to member profile, total engagement, engagement rate, etc., etc. conversions and leads, you have, all this different conversion rate, all this different information there. Again, sponsored messaging. So if you're running conversation ads or in-mails or anything like that, then basically this is really great to see. Video, budget and bidding is a great one. So this is a quick way to see how much are you spending daily, and then you can like up it or down it, and you can then see, oh, we're only spending that much per day. It means my bid's probably too aggressive because I'm not too low, so I'm not actually reaching my daily spend. So I'm going to actually increase my bid slightly. So you can basically see that, and it's a really quick way just to change your bid by going to bid rather than clicking through all the way. And you have a few more ones here. I have one which I've got here. You can also create custom ones. I like this one with my thought leader ads because I just like to know how many clicks to landing page versus how much spent. I do some maths. I'm like, oh cool, that's like £5 per click to landing page, which is great for me. Next, you have this one, which is really important, the breakdown. So the first one's conversions. So once you've set up your conversions, weirdly enough, you need to be on performance or some of the other ones, not on, like, some of them don't work. So you're going to make sure you're on the right, a column, and then the breakdown will only come up. So conversion, it'll show you like literally, okay, we've had 103 people visit the website from this campaign, that the inside tag is actually, seen, and it's actually fired, for example. So that's really cool. This one's interesting. This is if you have LinkedIn Audience Network on off. I would always check this because when you see LinkedIn Audience Network on, you're going to see like the majority of the budget go to it. So I just always do this when I'm auditing account. Carousel, you can see impression device type, which is quite interesting. So it's basically all mobile with this. Placement, like where does it end up going? And that's it. What is event stage? I don't even remember what that is now. So that's it. That's really important. So here as well, you can do, you can basically filter by the different dates or specific custom dates, which is pretty straightforward. Another really useful one is comparing. So comparing last week with this week, we can really see, or last month with this month, or last quarter of this month. This is where we can do that here. This is actually really, really useful. Okay, the final part, which I would say is really useful as well, is if you toggle all of what campaigns you want, you can do this by single campaigns or all campaigns. You go to performance charts and you can just see here, okay, this is how many clicks, this is how many, what's the average click-through rate based on days of the week or dates and all that kind of stuff. How many leads did we get? How many clicks, how many impressions, how much did we spend? How's spend looking? Look, there was a big increase in spend over here. Then we turned it off. So you get kind of an overview here. But what's really, really useful is this professional demographics. So in professional demographics, this is one of the most important ways to see what exclusions to set. So often when I start an account, I'll start with, a bit broader and not as many exclusions. Then I'll go in here and I'll see, okay, is this, we're getting a lot to business development. Business development also includes CEOs, and I'm also targeting marketing. But then I have on operations, entrepreneurship. Do I really want that? Media and communication as a job function. So this is job function. This is like a department. I don't know if I want sales actually. So I'll start excluding sales. I don't want art and design. I don't want that. I don't want a lot of these. So I can exclude a lot of the long tail ones. Job title is really good. So let's have a look. Loads of founders. Those are co-founders, chief executive officers, head of marketing. Okay, that's great. Chief revenue officer, awesome. And you can filter this by click through as well. So let's have a look. The people who are clicking through at the highest rate are VPs of marketing. That's my ideal clients. I'm really happy with that. But we've only had 129 clicks. So you can get a lot of interesting information here. And so you can filter it by impressions. You can say, I don't want advisors. Or members. Let's exclude members. Let's exclude investor. Let's exclude directors, a very broad one, which is a hard one to exclude because it actually creates a lot of different things. So we can look at that. So company industry, like most of it's technology, information, internet, IT services, and then you have some other ones as well. So I would definitely exclude that just by looking at that. So I'm going to start excluding that. So I'm saving my clicks and impression. I don't really want the clicks coming from these guys specifically. All right, now that you have the foundations campaign manager, you probably need to know more about the foundations of like which formats to use, how to set up the campaign, which I'll go through step by step, which formats, which objectives, how to do bidding. I'm going to go do a full walkthrough in this next video right now.